Hola, mi amigos y amigas. Lo siento, mi español es no bueno, pero uno estudiar un año en escuela segunda. ¡Feliz 5 de Mayo! So today is Cinco de Mayo, and what I basically said was, I'm sorry, my Spanish is not good. I only studied for a year in high school. But it's Cinco de Mayo, everybody, and I just wanted you to take a good look at something I got in Mexico. You know, this is called a sarape, and I kind of actually wanted to use it today to talk about traditions, you know. I actually got this on a mission trip in Mexico, so you get a chance to see at least some authentic, maybe traditional Mexican wear, but I doubt it's that traditional, you know, unless you're a cowboy. Anyway, in Mark chapter 7, and I'm citing from the Tofer paraphrased version of this, you know, it says that you make the law of God void with all your traditions. Well, the word of God void with all your traditions. And I got to thinking about that. And I'm like, you know, we don't do that today, do we? Not in today's church. I think we do a little, and here's why. There are two main traditions, you know, within the church. One of them is communion. Now, I haven't heard a whole lot, you know, about the different opinions on communion. All I know is that, you know, we've done it with wine or grape juice, you know, wafers, actual loaves of bread, or, you know, pita bread, and nobody really has any complaints with how we do it. You know, no one ever says, oh, you have to use grape juice, or, oh, you have to use wine, you know, because it's a condition of the heart. Now, the one thing I have heard is there are some denominations that say, you know, you have to be a part of this denomination to partake in communion. You know, or you cannot do communion outside of this particular denomination. And is that really what Christ had in mind when he said, do this as often as you shall in remembrance of me? No, he didn't say as long as you're at your home church or as long as you're within this denomination, it's okay. He said, do it. You know, and yes, Paul writes, you know, about the condition of the heart and, you know, how we shouldn't take communion, you know, unwittingly or unknowingly, that we should examine ourselves some, you know, but there's nothing to say, you know, that I can't go to one of my friends' church and should at least be offered communion there. The second tradition I'd like to look at a little is baptism. And this I've heard a lot of controversy about. You know, whether you're dunked, whether you're sprinkled, you know, how you do it, you know, whether it's within this particular church or not. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be baptized, you know, I think we should. But I think sometimes by all our different traditions, we make the Word of God void to an extent. Because baptism, like communion, should be look at the heart. You know, baptism should be an outward sign of an inward change. And it doesn't really, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what denomination that happens in. Whether it's in Methodist, whether it's in Baptist, Catholic, Pentecostal, you know, whatever. Lutheran, it shouldn't matter. Because if that change has happened here, then you should be able to do an outward sign to show it. You know, but one thing, if I have any major complaints, you know, about baptism and how some churches do it is, you know, infant baptism. And I think this kind of goes back to the, you know, our traditions and making the Word of God void, if you will. And keep in mind, this is just my thoughts on it. But, you know, I want to say that in a lot of churches that do infant baptisms, that could very well be done as, you know, baby dedications. You know, where the parents agree to raise the kid up in the church. The kids really don't have that much say in it because most of them can't speak yet. You know, but it's the parents saying, yeah, we want to raise our kids up. That I have absolutely no problem with. The problem is within the title, of calling it a baptism. Because then they do grow up in the church, and then they do go through something called confirmation, where they say, hey, you don't remember this, but back when you were kids, your parents made a choice to raise you up in the church, and its traditions and all that. And what confirmation does is where the kids are supposed to accept Christ, for themselves and continue on. Because at that point, the church feels they're old enough to do so. What if we let the kids, make the decision and then get baptized? I think we kind of put the cart before the horse there. So the kids grow up thinking that's what way it's supposed to be, and they get their kids baptized when they have them, and bring them up in the church. And yet, and then their kids go through confirmation, and yet we don't see too often that much of a heart change in them because they're living out what they've done traditionally. And it makes the Word of God, void to an extent. I'm not saying there's, exceptions to this rule. I'm just saying this is the rule that I've seen happen. And back to communion really quick. Doesn't matter how often we do it, whether it's the first Sunday of every month, or if we do it, once a month, twice a month, or every week. I think it should be a personal choice, but I think the church should have it available when people want to do it. Whether that's, the beginning of the month, or, once a month, or once a week. It should be made available to people. And I am running a little long in this one, and I apologize. I just want to say, I have actually enjoyed some of the traditions I've been a part of, communion and baptism being, two of them. But I want to challenge you with this. Are your traditions getting in the way of your walk or perception of God, the Word of God? Think about it. Goodbye, and God bless.